Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org with a video tutorial for the new Boston. In this video we're going to be creating a plugin that's going to allow us to hover over a particular link. It's going to take the title from the link and it's going to display it on the page as a sort of hover over and follow div. So at the moment you can see I've got this link here which is Google. And I obviously have a link location, and then I've just applied a title as we usually would. Now what's going to happen here is the plugin inside ext.js is going to be called here. So we've got this text, this plugin called hover text, and that's applied to all A elements, so all essentially what could be links on a page. And what this plugin does is it takes the title attribute from this link and it applies it in such a way that it will display as a hover over description, and this will be obviously taken from the title. So you'll see that when I hover over this link here, we have the text appear, a powerful search engine. So essentially what we're doing is something that we could usually do in jQuery, but we've applied it actually to a plugin. So we're going to be working with creating this as a plugin. So essentially all we do is just call it, and that's it basically. So plugin.js contains all of the plugin files. Ext is just an external script that we would usually use. We could apply it inline, but obviously with maintaining sort of some kind of structure, we tend to keep JavaScript away from our document body, but include it in an external file instead. So the demonstration is here. Obviously if you were to go ahead and change the title of this, let's just say to Google, it would obviously pick up on this and it would change the text inside of this hovering div here. And obviously it's styled using style.css, which we'll go through and create the actual div itself, and then apply that to the document and place this text inside. So all it really needs is hover text, and this will just give you an idea of sort of how to create your own plugin, but also how we can apply functionality to that as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the code inside of the files, and let's start writing this plugin out. Okay, so over to the text editor. Like I said, we have ext.js and plugin.js. At the moment these are both empty because we're going to be writing them out in just a moment. We've got my link here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the style sheet that I've used as well. Let's just open up style.css. Let's just get rid of that because we'll start from afresh so we understand how this is all working and how the div's created. You can see at the moment this does link to Google, however we don't get our hover over text. You'll notice however we get the default tooltip here which just says Google when I hover over. Let's just go back and change this to a powerful search engine. So when we hover over, you see we get this tooltip. Now we're going to be disabling that but displaying the div instead, so we'll obviously go through this process. The first thing really to do is to style out the div that we want to display. So what I'm going to do is just in my document body, I'm going to create the div above this link, and I'm going to call this hover text. So when I refresh, the div is now in place, but obviously we haven't styled it in style.css. So let's go ahead and say hover text, and we'll start to actually style this out. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure the position is set to absolute, and this just means that we can modify the top and left position of this div. That's quite important because we're going to need to set that to follow the mouse. Initially we're going to have the display as none, because obviously we don't want to display this just on the page as normal. We want to only display it when we hover over this link here. So we're setting display to none, but for now we'll just go ahead and comment this out so we don't have it hidden. We want to see what's going on. Let's just go ahead and just put some text inside of here so we can see our progress. So at the moment we've just got, so it's overlapped that link at the moment, so let's just go ahead and comment this link out. Okay, so we've got some text. This is our div as it currently looks, but we want to go ahead and add some other aspects to this. So I'm going to add a background color. This is going to be F0, 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 which is just a light grey color. I'm going to set the border to 1 pixel solid and 40, 40, 40, which is sort of a mid grey color. And then I'm going to go ahead and set the padding of this to, let's say, 6 pixels. So now you can see that that's been transformed to this that we can see here. We've got the border, we've got the text inside, and we've got a grey background color. So essentially now we have the div that we want to follow. We don't actually need to sort of do anything with this. In actual fact, I think we're going to leave out display none because what we're going to be doing is generating this div when we actually hover over a link. So we don't really need the display none at the moment. Obviously we're not going to be including this on the page every time. We're going to let jQuery add that to our document for us. So back to original, we have Google here, and we have the hover over tooltip, a powerful search engine. We want to go ahead and change this. So style.css is done now. We can go ahead and close that off. We're not going to do ext.js just for now, but we're going to start to create the outline and the body of our plugin. So to create our plugin, we're going to have 2 brackets. And inside this we're going to have a function, and just inside that we need a $sign. This just means that we can go ahead and use a $sign rather than replacing this with jQuery, having to write jQuery in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually create a, sort of like our function body, bring this down, and after here we just want to write jQuery, and that's essentially all this is just the outline for our plugin. So inside of here we can start to name our plugin as well. So I'm going to use $.fn, which obviously stands for function, and we want to go ahead and name our plugin. So I'm going to name this hover text. So now we've included a name of our plugin. Okay, so this is going to be equal to a function. Now in here you'd usually put sort of parameters, but we're not going to need a parameter here because everything's dynamic, it works for us. We have no options or settings, but obviously that's an option. Okay, so now that we've created our plugin, this is done. So to test, I'm going to go ahead and write alert, let's just say working. So now that we've created our plugin, all that's going to happen is when we call our plugin, we're just going to alert the text working. Now at the moment, obviously on the page there is nothing because we haven't actually called our plugin. But if we go over to ext.js, we can go ahead and call this.